Welcome to Awakening, the podcast. I'm your host, Heather Christian Strang, but you can call me Christian. And today we are talking about a topic that is on everyone's mind. Welcome to 2020. Here's what's what. We're going to be laying it out for you as we open up into this new decade of transformation, of going to the next level into who we really are and living a truly extraordinary life. So take a nice deep breath. Allow yourself to receive these messages and this wisdom at whatever level you're ready to receive it. I always recommend that you take anything we share with you and you take it into your own meditation practice, your own connection with the divine, and check in and say, does this resonate for me? Is this true for me? Because the awakening process, as we've talked about, is a process. It's not a one-time event, and we're all awakening at different levels at different times, and it's all incredible and perfect. So, 2020, there's a lot of hubbub about what this means, what it's opening us into. And I have been deep in it with my team over the holiday break and really taking time to get clear about what the call is for us as we are entering into this new decade. You might feel the same way that I do, in that I know that I'm here for a purpose and for a reason. And I know that I'm not here to just simply exist and not fulfill the highest experience that I can have. Meaning that you might have also experienced this deep feeling of purpose from a young age. I remember I was 10 years old and I was in this really chaotic experience and environment. And I remember hearing the voice of what I now know as my higher self saying, don't worry, you've got really cool things to do and you're going to get out of this and it's going to be really amazing. So I've had this sense of, we're here for this really sacred divine purpose and reason. And that unfolding has been unfolding for me, as I'm sure it has been for you, over many, many years. So I'm 11 years out from my first awakening and all that opened up for me. This life is truly this extraordinary experience if you allow it to be. And so 2020 is activating, and the new year always does, right? The new year always activates that freshness, that sense of possibility, that newness of writing and bringing into alignment, is a better way to say that, all those things that we weren't able to. But this year has an extra special flavor because we have completed a 10-year cycle from the decade previous. And we are in this energy of knowing that there's a whole new level that wants to be co-created through us. And when we say co-created, we mean created between you and your higher self and your spirit team. So those angels and guides of the highest light that are with every human, whether they want to believe that's happening or not. So in this 2020 energy, we have been called to now prepare for the golden age. So if you've been working with me for some time, you know, and you've been hearing us talk about 2012 is when we moved into the Aquarian age, the age of Aquarius. And it was also when we started shifting out of the dark age that humanity has been in and that we've all been living in, and stepping into more and more light, and the light of source coming in more and more and more for more and more people. If you reflect on your life in 2012, you might be able to see, I know I certainly can, that's when my healing practice really went to the next level. That's when I really committed to living this life in service to the divine at the next level for me. So 2012 was a pivotal year for many of us because more of the light was coming in and we were able to access that deeper and greater calling and sense of purpose of why we're here. We came to enjoy this life unfolding, for sure. We came to be challenged by this life unfolding, for sure. And we came because we have so much greatness to experience and so much to see. Right? There's so many veils that we've been living under, and they're being removed and removed and removed, and we're able to see more and more clearly through this awakening. So we are beginning now. We are in the throes of preparing for the golden age, which means we're beginning to move as individuals and as a collective out of the dark age. That started in 2012, that shifting from the darkness to the light. But we're now actively going to be preparing for it. So for many of you, 2017, 2018, 2019, some of the hardest years you've ever had, right? And that was because there was so much that needed to be looked at within ourselves. So we were calling it the ascension journey, right? We started with evolution, we were evolving, then we're ascending. Now we're preparing for the golden age, to be able to be the divine humans that we truly are while on this earth plane with this collective configuration. Now, you might notice that it seems as though on a third dimensional level, they're just, and we've talked about this in some of our programs, so if you've worked with me before, you've heard us say this before, it seems like they're just blowing each other up, right? So the third dimension is just there, just keep, wow, look at them go. They're just really determined to take the wounds and the shadow and the pain, whatever you want to call it, the misaligned energy, to as deep and horrible of a place as they can. And that is their free will choice. And there's a lot of momentum around those free will choices. So they get to do that, right? Like we're all here. We've got free will. What are we going to do with it? And there are those of us who came with deep and specific purpose and passion to experience all that we can in this life. You know, early in my life, I thought experiencing all that I could in this life was, traveling as much as possible, seeing as many things as I could, just taking in experience after experience. It took me some serious growing up and work to do to realize that the deepest, richest landscape is actually within. And it's our connection to the divine, to the sacred, to the holy within us that then gets to experience in the external world, which is just a whole other level of experience, right? Because I traveled the world and saw sights and did all the things and went to all the places, but I didn't do that fully connected to my higher self. Now, connected to my higher self, going out to eat, going to a farmer's market, going to the freaking gas station is amazing. There's so much beauty. There's so much connection. There's so much joy. Your life really becomes a whole other level as you're embodied as your higher self and you're living connected to who you really are. Now, you don't have to journey to the ends of the earth to really experience what life is about. You certainly can, of course. You have free will. You can do whatever you want. But if we're going for the richest, deepest experiences that we can have, that comes from connecting into who we really are, our divine, sacred selves, and then living that in the world. So 2020, this new decade, what is all about us preparing to live in a golden age, no longer in a dark age. And that will require us to shift our lives to be in harmony with the light of source, with the love of source, or whatever terminology resonates for you around holiness, around sacredness. Now, don't get it twisted, because this happens, right? Folks can bristle up and be like, oh, holiness, sacredness, and they go to a religious context. Of course, all this got distorted, right? We saw what the religions did and the humans trying to control someone's connection to spirit. We see what happens there, right? It gets all sorts of distorted and debased and creates confusion, but that's a great tool for distraction. That's why the work that I do and the work that my team and I do, it's free range sacred spirituality. It really is about utilizing the tools and the processes and the practices and the healings that we give to support the deepening of your individual connection with the divine and then co-creating from that place. Right? So when we talk about holiness, when we talk about the golden age, there can be all of these sort of this misinformation about what that looks like. And the way to get clear about what that looks like is to find a teacher, a healer, or a guide that you resonate with who has access to the information, and then take it in to your own personal connection and say, okay, what pieces really resonate with me? What pieces am I going to move forward on? What pieces do I have resistance to, which is letting me know, oh, there's a deeper inquiry that wants to happen here. So often when we think about being on this holy path and we're now preparing for the golden age, this is going to require a new set of tools, a new set of skills, a new frequency for us to vibrate at. So our work is to get really clear about who is the guide, who are the supports to support us in going there, because one of the ways that we stay disconnected from living our deepest truth and our embodied truth and our awakened life is believing that we're alone and we have to figure it all out by ourselves. It's a huge, huge way that I watch folks throughout the 11 years I've been doing this work, and even where my own lower self will go when it comes up around, you're alone, this doesn't matter, it's not possible, right? Like that's where the lower self will go. You got to figure this out on your own. It's complete nonsense, right? Because every single human has a spirit team, and there are guides in human form that have been placed here on the plane to support you. I am one of them. There are many of them, right? So you have so much support. You have so many ways to access your divine truth and to remember and return to your truth, because what happens, and especially when we're in the phase we're in, the third dimension is blowing itself up, right? They're just making messes all over the place. It's really easy to get pulled out of alignment. You're most likely still attached to and involved in matrices that don't serve you, right? You're most likely, I don't want to get too far into this because I want you to really have the experience on your own, but you're most likely connected to, we'll just say, organizations that are not operating in the highest light, right? And so there are going to be things that trigger you, that pull you out of alignment. There's going to be attachments you have with certain institutions, organizations. We'll keep it as broad range as possible because, again, we want you to have your own awakening experience with this. That is going to pull you out of alignment, and it's going to make you question things, right? So when we get out of alignment, we get into that heavier energy, we get into that shadow content where we're doubting, we're holding ourselves back from true alignment. So how do you know if you're out of alignment? If you feel bad, you're out of alignment. Because you didn't come to feel bad, right? This may seem like a newsflash. I know for me it certainly was. I was like, I thought feeling bad was just part of the human experience. And yes, of course, we have the full range of emotions, and we came for all of it. And we came to be able to be masterful with all of it. But we didn't come to live there, right? I was birthed into an environment where everyone was feeling bad like most of the time. So that's just, that's what I thought was like, oh, this is how this works. Oddly, I had this natural optimism that really supported me. But the programming was, life is hard, you feel bad, that's just part of life. And what I had to awaken to, and I mean, it's been layers and layers of awakening, of recognizing that if I am feeling like shit, it's because I'm disconnected from who I really am. And if I'm disconnected from who I really am, then that's good information to have, and I can easily reconnect back to who I really am. So we all get pulled out of alignment. But now that we're in this new, now that we're in this new decade, we have this incredible opportunity to really go to the next level. So we've got whole new tools. We've got all new practices. We need to vibrate at a new frequency so that we're no longer vibrating in alignment with those matrices that don't serve us, and that we are vibrating as embodied sovereign beings. Really incredible. Like, I didn't even know that we weren't sovereign. So this was a newsflash for me that Spirit has been bringing to me since 2016. We had that big shift here in the U.S. specifically that was like really smacked me in the face, and I started asking some deeper questions. And when you ask, and when you're asking the highest light, it is always answered. So they've been bringing me to greater understanding and enlightenment about the level of enslavement that we've all been in for a very long time. And so unhooking ourselves from that, and that's a layered process, is happening. And this preparation for the golden age requires us to vibrate at a new frequency, to show up in a new way. And I'm so excited to share with you all the information that's being brought to me, the next level of embodiment that we're all here to step into. Because when we do this work, there is one sole fact that remains. And that sole fact is, when you do this level of work, your life is magical, it's miraculous, it's incredible. That's just what it is. No one else has to understand that. No one else has to see that. No one else has to know that. I have a magic journal, and I encourage the folks I work with to do this as well. And I would encourage you to do this if you feel called. And every day I write down all the synchronicities, all the magical things that happen, all the amazing insights that I'm gifted. And what that does is it creates more momentum of that. Now, if you just did that, that would be a fine practice, but you'd be missing the keys to the deeper embodiment and the deeper magic. And that is daily meditation, daily prayer, receiving regular and consistent body talk is the modality I recommend, which is doing your subconscious work, doing at least weekly inner child work and healing. So those are just like the base level pieces that you've got to have in place to live an epic, magical life. And now we're going to the next level of that in preparing for the golden age. And so I am thrilled by what's been shared with me. We have an offering that begins January 16th, How to Thrive as an Empath in a 5G world. So 5G world. So I've never worked with the EMFs. I mean, we have that come into the higher self embodiment sessions, the body talk sessions I facilitate. We'll have EMF protection, Wei Qi stuff come up for sure. My team has taken me on a whole journey to learn about the 4G, the 5G, how it interacts with the human body and what we can do to up level. And they're going to be giving us upgrades, transmissions. They'll be giving us energy work to support you in being able to navigate the 5G while in a 5D, right? Because we know that the third dimension has released the 5G network. We've heard some of the horror stories about what that can do. It's been used in a military capacity. So we're not getting into all the fear. We're not going there. We're actually going to take it higher and be able to transmute it at a really high level. So we've got that coming in January because, again, preparing for the golden age, we have to be vibrating in a different way. We have to become more masterful with how we interact with the components like 5G that are there. And then the focus for 2020, as far as I've been shown at this point in our preparation for the golden age, is divine feminine leaders running spirit-led businesses. And so I will be doing a business mentorship program for women who are in the corporate world and who are also entrepreneurs. And we will be giving you the tools to create a truly thriving, prosperous, spirit-led business. It's called Prosper and Shine, Spirit-Led Business for Women. We will begin that February 22nd, 2022, which is also one of my guides, Royal, his birthday. So there'll be a lot to celebrate that day, and I'll be working intimately with a specific group of women to support them and really going to the next level in their business, having it be spirit-led so that it's infused with the energy of source, with all that is, which totally changes everything and allows you to attract and magnetize prosperity to you at a whole new level. So big things coming as we step into this new year, this new decade. There is so much calling to us as we prepare for the golden age. You might see the new look on the Awakening the podcast, and you'll start to notice it and everything that we're doing. There's a whole new look and feel because we're in a whole new energy, whole new frequency is calling to us. And I am so excited for what's to come. It's been a joy to share this information with you. I, again, and welcome and encourage you to take this into your meditation, to sit with it, find what aligns for you, what expansions come for you. If you have questions, please ask them, because questions open up the space for more, and I'll either direct you to where that question is answered or I'll address it in an upcoming podcast episode. If this podcast was of benefit to you, please leave a review. This kind of leading edge work is really past word of mouth, so please share it with friends and family, or at the very least, leave a review of what served you and how this benefited you, and that will so support other beings on the awakening path and seeing that this is where their people are at. So much love to all of you. May you have the most awakened new year yet. And I look forward to sharing with you in so many beautiful ways as we step into this truly extraordinary year, this truly extraordinary time in consciousness. Don't let the mainstream masses fool you or distract you or pull you out of alignment into thinking you're alone, you have to do this alone, or that it's all bad, that terrible things are happening. Terrible things are happening, but it's happening for a very specific group of beings, and we get to decide if terrible things are happening in our lives. We get to decide how we show up for that, so we get to have a whole new experience with whatever it is that's coming to us. I will have so much more for you on this in my programs to come. So much love to all of you, much love and many blessings to you on your awakened path.